You're standing directly in front of someone you've met at least 3 times. You know their face. You might even know they have a sister in Chicago or that they're obsessed with vintage espresso machines. But their name is just gone. It isn't even hovering at the tip of your tongue. It's completely, cleanly absent, like a file that was deleted before it was ever saved. You feel that cold spike of panic in your chest. You're about to perform 12 seconds of desperate improvised theater, angling your body, waiting for a third person to walk by and say the name, or praying for a sudden, minor distraction to save you from the silence. If you've ever felt the crushing weight of that guilt, the secret belief that you are rude, careless, or just not as smart as everyone else, I need you to listen very closely. You don't have a memory problem. You have a brain that is far more interested in the soul than the label. We've all been told that forgetting a name is a sign of disrespect. We're taught that it means we didn't care enough to pay attention. But the reality of what's happening in your brain during an introduction is much more complex and much kinder than that. Think about the sheer cognitive chaos of meeting someone new. In those first few seconds, your brain is doing a staggering amount of work. It's reading their micro expressions. It's registering their tone of voice. It's calculating social hierarchies and trying to figure out if this person likes you. Or more importantly, if you even feel safe with them. Your working memory is a small, crowded shelf in your prefrontal cortex. And in that moment, it's already juggling 6 different balls. Then, into that chaos, someone hands you a single arbitrary sound. Hi, I'm Kevin. To your brain, the word Kevin is a rootless object. It doesn't mean anything yet. It doesn't trigger an image, a feeling, or a concept. It is a semantically empty sound floating in a mind that is currently too busy to babysit it. Your brain is an efficiency machine. It prioritizes things that have hooks, things it can connect to the knowledge you already have. There is a fascinating concept in psychology called the Baker-Baker paradox. Researchers found that if you show 2 groups of people the same photograph of a man and tell the first group his last name is Baker, and the second group that his profession is a baker, the second group will remember the word far more easily. It's the exact same word, but the brain treats them differently. When you hear baker as a job, your mind explodes with associations: the smell of fresh bread, the warmth of an oven, early mornings, flour-covered hands. But when you hear baker as a name, it's just a label on a jar. It has no context. It's a sticker that hasn't been pressed down hard enough. And at the first sign of social pressure, it just falls off. Pause for a second and think about the last time you were at a significant event, maybe a wedding or a funeral. You probably remember the specific quality of the silence in the room. You remember the way someone's voice cracked during a speech. You remember the smell of the flowers or the specific way the light hit the floor. But do you remember the name of the person who sat 3 rows behind you? Probably not. Your brain made a choice without consulting you about what mattered. Everything else about a person is the funeral. The name is just the text on the order of service. But for chronic name forgetters, there is an even deeper layer. It's often not about the name itself, but about where your focus was positioned when the name was delivered. For many of us, social interactions are high-stakes environments. While the other person is talking, we aren't just listening. We are internally narrating our own performance. Am I making enough eye contact? Is my handshake too firm? Did I just laugh too loud? This is what psychologists call the next-in-line effect. When we are preparing to speak or worrying about how we are being perceived, our brain effectively shuts down its recording equipment for the person directly in front of us. We are so busy editing our own script in real time that when the name enters our ears, it finds the recording light is turned off. You aren't being dismissive, you are being hyper-vigilant. You are so worried about the interaction going well that you accidentally sabotage the data entry part of the process. If this is you, I want you to reframe the shame you feel. You don't have a faulty hard drive. You have a preoccupied processor. Those are 2 very different things. We also have to talk about the sting on the other side. We've all been the person whose name was forgotten. It feels like a small, pointed message. You didn't matter enough to stick. We take it personally because our names are tied to our identity, but if you're the one who forgot, you know that's almost never the truth. You probably remember the conversation you had with that person. You remember the way they tilted their head when they were thinking. You remember that weirdly specific story they told about their first car? You were there for the human, you just weren't there for the label. The people who struggle most with names are often the most associative thinkers. Their memories are richly contextual and emotional. They store experiences in 3D, filled with textures and vibes. Ask them what someone was wearing 3 years ago, and they might actually tell you. Ask them how that person made them feel, and they'll give you a detailed emotional map. But ask them for the arbitrary syllable their parents assigned them 30 years ago. Blank. This is a specific kind of mental architecture. It's an architecture that is better suited for storytelling and deep emotional attunement than for mechanical filing. You are the kind of person who listens to the music, not the lyrics. You are tracking the essence of the person, while the rest of the world is just checking off the ID badge. The shame you carry, the belief that forgetting a name makes you a bad or uncaring person, is a story you've been told by a society that values administrative efficiency over emotional depth. But think about the people you love most. Is it their name that makes you love them? Or is it the way they take their coffee, the specific way they worry about things, and the secret language of looks you share? The name was always the least interesting thing about them. You can learn the tricks. You can repeat the name back immediately. You can try to build a mental bridge between Kevin and a kitchen. You can do manually what your brain refuses to do automatically, and those are good skills to have. But they don't change the fact that your brain is currently prioritizing the real stuff. So, the next time you find yourself in that improvised theater, when the name is gone and the panic is rising, take a breath. Don't let the shame spiral pull you under. You aren't absent. You aren't dismissive. You are someone whose brain gets hijacked by its own internal weather. You are someone who is looking for the baker in the person, not the baker on the tag. Forgive yourself for the lost syllables. Focus on the person standing in front of you, the real them. Because at the end of the day, people won't remember the perfect pronunciation of their name nearly as much as they will remember the way you actually saw them. Stay curious, stay empathetic, and let the labels go.